So I'm with Hugo Grenville in his amazing studio in Bridport, and I don't know if Hugo will remember, but I was thinking on my way down that in 1989 you interviewed me when you were an art consultant at Grenville Gibbs, and you didn't give me the job.
I totally forgot.
Yeah, I can remember it. Anyway, I've never asked you what enabled you to make the leap from being an art consultant to an artist, because there's no safety net in being an artist. It's a brave leap.
Well, there was no safety net in being an art consultant anyway.
That's true.
In my art consultancy, which cheated on the edge of bankruptcy for 5 years. I think it's because I always wanted to be a painter. Even when I was at school, I wanted to be a painter.
Did you?
And I mean, I won various art prizes at school, but nobody ever said, you ought to go to art school and make it a profession. And I think my base level of confidence that I could make a living wasn't strong enough in my early 20s. I couldn't make that leap. I mean, I turned down various opportunities. I was going to go, after I left the army, I was going to go to the Beaux-Arts in Paris and study there. And I got a place there and I turned it down. I couldn't work out how I was going to finance it. Went into advertising. But all the time I was painting as a Sunday painter.
Oh, were you?
And all the time I was selling and exhibiting other people's paintings. I was itching to be the painter and not the...
Did you find that when you were looking at work that you were choosing to sell, that you knew in you there was a painting that you hadn't found yet that was within you?
Me personally?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, I think that is right. And actually, I think one never finds it. I mean, one gets some of the way to finding it, but what makes you get up again in the morning and scrape the palette clean and start the process over is because you haven't quite found the thing you're trying to say. I
mean, I'd be slightly worried if I met an artist who said, I've actually got there. Because it's the journey and the constant trying, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, it's a process that aligns with poetry and music, that sort of desire, that wistfulness, that melancholy, that joy, all those ingredients that are part of the process of being human, which have to be expressed, but to find a way of expressing them is extraordinarily difficult. And sometimes, you hear people say the painting's sort of painted itself, and I think that does occasionally happen. But a lot of the time, it's just a hard graft to keep on finessing the processes and hope that your subconscious and your craft align together.
Meet.
Yeah.
And if somebody took it away from you and you had to wake up tomorrow and you couldn't come to your studio, you couldn't be an artist, what would happen? What would you feel like?
Oh, well, it would be it'd be a terrible situation.
It would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to paint for my well-being apart from anything else.
Yes. And I find particularly now when we're all, I mean, for artists really, lockdown, your life is no different because you come to your studio, work in isolation.
Yeah.
So you have that food of creativity that's keeping you going. Yeah. So I don't know how people survive. What does one do without that?
Well, I think it is tough for everybody. And actually, it's interesting that the paintings that you have chosen were all painted before the last lockdown. And I have noticed just in the last couple of months, as the kind of ambient mood has gone down, I've noticed a tightening up.
Yes.
In my painting.
Yes.
And these paintings that you've chosen were made the end of last summer when there was hope in the air.
And I think we all had some wind in our sails.
We had some wind in our
and we'd
sails.
had the freedom of that first lockdown, which for some of us who are lucky
was quite fun.
Yeah. I noticed you said when I came in that sometimes you deny yourself the use of a colour.
Yes.
So why do you do that?
Well, when I was trying to move as a painter from a sort of school of Sickert to a kind of continental colourist, a sort of post-impressionist, I found that transition extremely difficult. And I remember spending a couple of days wandering around the National Gallery trying to work out what it was that was missing from my paintings. And in fact, it turned out to be too many primary colours.
Really?
And I was looking at this lovely Veronese painting of Alexander the Great being presented to the family of Darius, who he had slaughtered, the Persian emperor he'd slaughtered in battle the day before. And it's a huge, wonderful painting, Veronese at his best. But what I noticed is that there was no more than, in fact, one primary colour and a wide range of sort of earth colours. And so I realised that I had to leave out at least one primary colour. And I think it analogizes to keys in music. So if you want to write a piece of music in a somber key, you'll choose a minor key. And if you want to make a celebratory piece of music, you'll choose a major key. And I think it's like that with colour. I think you've got to limit the colour and make the colour work really hard, make the harmonies work.
And you probably learn so much by starting a canvas and saying, right, this one is not going to be a part of it.
Yes. I mean, it's exactly like cooking. I mean, actually, I'm not a very good example of this in cooking because I tend to use every spice in the rack.
Yes.
I mean, ideally, you don't use every spice
No.
in the rack.
Exactly. And if it seems a really silly question to ask an artist, particularly a colourist, do you have a favourite colour? Do you have a colour that you tend to feel like that
yes,
of all I include most?
I think I go for a kind of bluey mauve, which I have to be careful. In fact, I've just been selecting some paints to go. I'm going to go and paint some snowy Scottish landscape. And I decided to leave my purple behind.
Did you?
Because I just decided it's my default, and it gives us too much of it. And so I'm when it's restricted, it's great, but one has to be careful that every painting doesn't come out sort of pink or purple.
Yeah, no. Well, thank you. It's been lovely to visit you today. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.